Alright, boys and girls, I'm doing have to do this a little bit different because I don't have my Clever Touch like I did at school, but I'm going to try it this way. We are starting a new unit after your reading test, which I'm sure you guys did great on. We are starting a new unit called and answering the question, how do animals survive in nature? So here you have a picture of one of our American symbols. It's an American bald eagle. And you can see down here that he's got in his talons, those are called talons, he's got a fish. And the question that I want to ask you about this page is, how does this eagle get his food? So what does he do to get the food that he needs? So while I'm changing screens, I want you to be thinking about that. And then we're going to watch a little bit of an opener here. So here you have, okay, make that big screen for you, and then we'll watch
it. In the wild, how do animals survive in nature? Some animals in the wild eat plants. Some eat other animals. And some eat both plants and animals. Animals in the wild have different ways of getting their food. Large birds, like this eagle, might swoop down and grab a fish for lunch. A hungry spider spins a web so it can catch insects like this one. A long, sticky tongue helps this chameleon to capture its dinner. Chameleons and other lizards survive mostly on a diet of insects. Some animals don't need to hunt for prey. Instead, they find seeds, nuts, and plants to eat. This panda eats mostly bamboo leaves and stems. No matter where they live, animals in nature need food to survive.
Alright, so that was just a little bit of a kind of a little preview of some things we're going to be talking about. So they talked about a few different animals in there. They talked about a panda. They talked about a some insects and how they get their food. They talked about a bunch of different animals. And you might remember from when we were doing animals a little bit back in the fall, we talked about things that they need to survive. And if you remember, all creatures, all animals need several things to survive. They all need water. They all need food. They all need shelter. And they all need oxygen or air to breathe. And all animals also need like a place to or somebody to nurture or care for them over time. Now, some animals more than others, but if you look at our vocabulary words, our first word is survive. And if you look at this picture of the camel, he has a different environment that he can survive in.
Survive. A camel can survive without food or water for a long time.
He has different things and different needs than you and I do in different animals. Some animals can live a lot longer without those things, but they still need them. They still have to have them. So survive is one of our words. The next one is provide.
Provide. Our school provides each child with lunch.
All right, provide means to give and make sure that they have what they need. We provide things for one another. Some of you, your parents provide things for you right now. But when you get older, you'll have to provide for yourselves. All right, this word is communicate. Now, all animals do have some ways to communicate. They don't talk like you and I do, or they don't, they might make different sounds, but they also might have different gestures and different movements with their hands or I guess the animals don't have paws, or their body language is a way that they communicate too.
Communicate. Dogs can communicate by barking.
All right, my dog, you just heard them in the background barking because they thought they saw somebody coming to my house, and so they were barking while I was trying to make the video. Superior. If something is superior, it means it's better.
Superior. A dog's sense of smell is superior to a human's.
I know when I took my dog out today, she just picks up on every scent. She does have superior hearing to you and I. That's and smell too. All right, the next is wilderness.
Wilderness. Hikers sometimes see deer in the wilderness.
All right, wilderness would be kind of wild nature. People aren't living there. If you look in the background, you don't see houses, you don't see a city, you don't see streets. It's the wilderness. It's where the animals' natural habitat is. All right, this is the word seek. Seek means to look at, and you probably know that from hide and seek.
Seek. A bear will seek out ripe berries.
Okay, so that means to look for the things that they need. They have to hunt or seek for their food. This is find. Here's again.
Find. Fish can find a place to hide.
All right, find means that you, once you've looked for something, you actually come across it or find it. All right, here is the word food.
Food. This is the word food. Say it with me.
Food. Alrighty, now this is showing you kind of two different things. Animals need food to live, and you and I need food to live. So food is something that all creatures need. Now what I like to eat and what you like to eat might be different, just like what a panda bear likes to eat and a lion likes to eat are different. Some are, and they said that in our videos, some are plant eaters, which means they're an herbivore. Hopefully you remember that. Meat eaters, carnivore. And if they eat both plants and meat, then they're called omnivores. And you and I are omnivores. Unless you're a vegetarian, then you're an herbivore. So there are some different types of things that what we choose to eat what we eat. But cows, they prefer and they are made to eat grass. Are you and I made to eat grass? No, that would be yucky. It would not taste very good. All right, so those are some of our words for this week. Now we're also working on a sound, and I do have a vocabulary and a worksheet that shows you the long O words that we're working on this week. And here is a picture of them. Now I'm going to say the sounds that are in the word, and I want you to put them together to make the word. N-O. No. C-old. Cold. B-old. Old. F-o. Flow. B-at. Bat. G-o-ing. Going. T-ode. Toad. M-o-st. Most. B-o-th. Both. S-o. So, now if you're looking at these words, there's some different ways that they're spelled with the long O sound. You're going to see that throughout this unit. They have just the long O. They have O consonant silent E. And then there's the O-W that spells O, and the O-A, which spells O, and the O-W, which spells O. So there's a lot of different ways to spell the O sound in words. Alright, so we're going to go back to this and we're going to read a story. We're going to, if I can find it. attach it so you can watch it separately. But the story is called Go Wild. And I like this story because it's showing a bunch of different animals and it's showing how they survive in the wild. We all can see a tiger probably at the zoo, but we know that that is not their natural habitat. That's not where they should live. They live in nature in different places, Africa and Asia. So there's different types of tigers that live there as well. So this is a non-fiction story, meaning that it's a real story. It's showing real pictures and real animals and facts.
Genre: nonfiction. Essential question: how do animals survive in nature? Read about how animals in the wild find food.
All right, and the title is called
Go Wild.
Go Wild. So we're going to look at some animals in the wild. Oh, here's one of my favorite creatures, a hippo, like baby Fiona. There she is. And
Animals need food to live and grow. But all animals don't eat the same things. Some big animals, such as hippos, eat plants. A hippo can eat more than 130 pounds of grass.
wow, 130 pounds. That's more than, that's as much, or actually that's a little bit less, but as big as me, as much of that grass in one day. That's a lot of grass for a hippo to eat. And here's a squirrel. Looks like, what season is that? Looks like it's in winter time. Looks like he's maybe storing some nuts for the winter. I'm having a hard time reaching this. Okay.
Some small animals eat plants too. A squirrel eats loads of plant seeds. They like nuts and grains. A squirrel can smell a nut and find it, even in the snow.
So they must have good senses of smell to be able to find a nut in a snowbank. That's pretty good. All right, ooh, here's a cheetah. Some of you I know really like the cheetahs. I think Addie, you're one of the ones that likes cheetahs. Addie and I think Adele maybe too.
Some animals hunt and eat other animals. First, this big cat runs fast to catch its meal. Then it will use its claws and teeth to eat.
Now this particular animal, the cheetah, is a meat eater. So he is a carnivore. He hunts his food, he catches his food, and then he eats it, just the raw meat. Not like you and I, your mom probably cooks your hamburgers or cooks your chicken. He just would eat it fresh from the animal. He'd kill the animal and then he would eat it. So he is a carnivore. Now a frog and toads are part of the amphibian family, but they eat typically insects. So they would be considered a carnivore too because insects are a type of meat.
Frogs and toads seek insects and snails to eat. A big frog goes after mice too. But frogs and toads have no teeth, so they must gulp down their meal.
You can, I don't know if you can see, but he's got a real long sticky tongue that he's grabbing the insect with and pulling it straight into his mouth, and he doesn't have teeth to chew it up, so he's just swallowing it whole. Gulp. Oh, an ostrich. Now, an ostrich is a type of bird. It's one of the birds that cannot fly, but it still is considered a bird because he has feathers and he lays eggs. And he does have wings, but they just can't hold his weight. He's awfully heavy for those little wings on his side. Kind of a weird creature that was created.
Some animals eat both plants and animals. An ostrich eats seeds and leaves. But it will search all over for insects, snakes, and lizards as well.
All right, so it eats both. It eats both plants as well as meat or insects. So it's considered an omnivore. Now here's a turtle. Oh, and there's my dog in the wild. Addie, stop.
A painted turtle eats plants, fish, and frogs.
Quiet.
This reptile lives in lakes and ponds. It likes the cold water at first, but then it will come up on land to get warm.
All right, so here's our next creature. It's a bear. And a bear is typically also an omnivore, or it eats both plants and meat. It's typically fish.
A bear may start its day by eating plants. Next, it may go fishing in a lake. After that, a bear may go hunting. Then, it might even go to a campsite.
Uh-oh, look at this campsite. Look at the bear has entered into the people's tents. And that's why they are wild animals. And if we invade their space, of course, they're going to think, oh, food for us. Let's just go get in that tent and eat their s'mores stuff, their chocolate and their marshmallows.
Most bears will eat plants, animals, and people food. Is there any food left here to eat? If so, a bear will find it. In the wild, animals find food in lots of places.
All right, so what do animals in the wild eat? That's the question that I'm going to ask you on your paper today, on your work page. I'm going to ask you what some different animals choose to eat and whether they like plants or whether they like meat or whether they like both. And remember, again, a plant eater is an herbivore. Herb, like, you know, your mom cooks with herbs. A meat eater is carnivore. And when they eat both, it's omnivore. All right? So if we're looking at our text page, we're going to kind of work on what the main idea of this story. And if you looked at the title, of course, what's the title say? Going wild. So we're talking about animals in the wild and the things that they need. That would be the main idea. Now, some of the details were some of the animals and what they ate. So an ostrich, they said, ate insects, small rodents, and also plants. A bear, they said, eats fish, plants as well. So those are just some details in the story. So, and especially the details were that there were 3 types of diets for these animals. There were 3 things that they could possibly eat: plants, meat, or both. And we're going to stop right there, and I will see you tomorrow. You guys have a great day.